What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Listen, I need you to do two things for me. Just two things. What I need you to do, first of all, is like, share, and tag tonight's conversation with a close friend or family member. Okay. Secondly, I need you to engage with me in this conversation. I hope tonight's conversation will be like thought provoking, inspirational, all those type of things. We about to dive deep into this conversation about waking up. Yes, waking up. Listen, I hope your day has been wonderful. And if not, the good thing about it, that you are still in the land of the living. And for that, you should have an attitude of being grateful. Everything may not be perfect, but still breathing. All right. So let's dive into this conversation tonight about waking up. I know today's conversation is entitled Good Morning. So let me tell you how I got into this thought about that. I had a situation that came about that shook me to the core. And I know you had situations that shakes you to the core as well, but this time it was a little different. And the reason why it was different because I had an aha moment for me. An aha moment. I had to start looking at things differently. So let me show you something about myself to you. So I have this habit of what's the correct words that I could use. I have this thing about me that I will take, I guess, the right for the wrong. That may not even be the good thing, good word to say. I'm trying to think of the right word, but what I am trying to say is that I blame myself. I put myself through a whole lot of thoughts. I think so much. Y- The overthinking part about me is completely ridiculous. So before it's all over with, I'm blaming myself about the situations that happen. And then I go through this level of depression. Like, dang, I could have did this differently. I could have said this differently, and I could have done this differently. Maybe if I didn't say this, then this would never been that response. Maybe if I didn't do this, maybe if I didn't acquiesce to this, that things would have turned out differently. So here I am in the middle of the night, probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had an aha moment, and that moment was like, "It ain't your fault." Now I ain't gonna tell you what I said in my mind, but it's okay. Just pray my strength in the Lord. Um, but I had to chill out for a moment. I had to chill out for a moment. So my mind began to think about everything that I have allowed myself to do and the blame that I put on myself about situations. And I was like, yo, not this time. Not this time. See, think of it, you have to identify toxic people in your life. You have to identify people who don't appreciate who you are to them. And I had to come to a conclusion that I can't make anyone see my worth. I can't make anyone respect me, but I have to respect myself first to develop a boundary that forces other people to respect me. And you have to do the same. You have to find yourself a boundary. Create not just find yourself a boundary, not even just creating yourself a boundary, but what you got to do, you got to stand at what you said that you would not allow and not find yourself to be manipulated back into those same spaces. Okay, I get it. I completely get it. That is easier said than done, and which it is. I promise you, it's so easy to allow things just to flow as they are. I grew up in the church. And so my interpretation of the teaching that I got was that it's good and it's Christ like, it's spiritual to always make yourself the sacrifice, to make yourself the one that always giving up your right for another person's wrong. And I'm not saying that those things don't have its place, but you have to use common sense. And I know a lot of people who come from my sphere don't like that word, because we are taught to be so spiritual, as if that we don't have human experiences, but we do. We get angry, we cry, sometimes we get frustrated, we get overwhelmed. All those things become a reality in our lives. It becomes part of our life, and there's some things that you cannot shake yourself from. It is what it is, and I had to discover that some things are, they are what they are. There's nothing that you can do about it. And once I accepted that fact, I began to wake up. I was laying in the bed, not in the bed, because I had said it, got in my recliner, and I was sitting there, and I was just thinking about the situation and then thinking about it, and I said, well, maybe I did, maybe I jumped to conclusion, because my mind began to think about the situation. I said, maybe it is my fault, and I had to say to myself, it's not your fault. There's nothing that you could have done could have made the situation any better than what it already was, or any worse than it already was, because it is what it is. There's nothing that you can do about it. There's nothing that you could uh, cause to make things better. See, sometimes we want to control the situation. I know I did. I wanted to control the situation because I didn't want to find myself hurt. Matter of fact, the situation where I didn't want to find the person that I was dealing with in a bad situation. Because when you love someone and they're close to your heart, what happens is you always step in. There's a thing that's called friendly fire. Sometimes in life, you find yourself getting caught up in friendly fire because you're trying to be the one to save somebody and save a situation, and things flip on you. Now, I know you can say, dang, Darnell, there's a lot of things that flipped on me. I believe that most of us can raise our hand and say, hey, it flipped. And I became the villain in the situation. I became the bad person in the situation. I know you can put in the comment section, I did my best to control, but it flipped. Because when you trying to control the situation yourself instead of allowing it to be what it is, it flips on you. It turns on you. You become um the abuser in the situation, even though you're not the abuser. It just looks that way. Names are called at you because you decided not to follow in those steps, or you know fall back into the situation. Because once you wake up, something happens. um it's like a growth spurt overnight. So like, this situation came about, i I got a text message, and so in my mind, I thought I was responding properly to a situation. I found myself getting angry. um Words begin to formulate in my mind that I wanted to say, but I had to think about who I was. But I'm not saying those thoughts didn't show up. I promise you, I'm not saying that. But I had to make sure that they did not escape out of my mouth, because I wanted to say it. I want to tell the person. But I got bothered by the fact that I allowed myself to go there. Once I thought about it, because I allowed myself to go there, what literally happened, I lost control over me. And I want to say to you, when you allow things to shake you from your base of who you are allowing others to control you. They shake your emotions. They shift your thought process. And so once I thought about it, my mind went way back. Have you ever had a thought that went way back? Like for real, like you just thinking about similar situations that cause you to get out of or get off the base of who you are, get out of character. And I begin to realize that this is a normal pattern that I have allowed. This was a normal pattern that I have allowed. I have allowed um, things to get the best of me, and I go off. My temperament change. Um, Sometimes I allow things that was not good to escape out of my mouth, and you know what I'm talking about. So let's not be, deep in this situation, because sometimes when we get upset, the words and it's not always cute. And I get it. The Bible said, be angry and sin not. I understand the whole text. I get it. But there are moments where you let go. You definitely let go. You let go and you don't care. At that moment, you don't care. You don't. Let's be real. Even if you're not cussing, I mean, like you saying some sharp stuff, you hidden below the belt because you have been moved off your base. You allow things to come in and shake the character who you are. I began to blame myself. I was angry. I was bothered about the situation. And when I thought about it, this had nothing to do exactly with the person. What it had to do with when it came to me was the pattern that I constantly allowed. Let me tell you something. Learn the art of saying no. Learn the discipline of keeping your boundaries. And saying that, what will happen is you may lose a lot of people that is in your life, but the real people, your core friends, your core family, they will stay because they respect you. They honor you. They hold you to a degree that they will not find themselves disrespecting you. Anytime you have a family member or a friend or a coworker that's willing to go to the ends and the extreme of disrespecting you for no reason, then you have to find yourself hey, I gotta let this go, because this is not good. This is not good. I can't be around this person. I can't deal with this person. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. And I just had a thought. Sometimes letting people go will cause them to mature, will cause them to become a better person. Okay, so there's a saying that we hear, um, you don't miss your water until your well run dry. Sometimes you got to let people who you have became a well to, you got to let that water run dry. Stop supplying their every wants, whether it's emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Stop finding yourself pouring into people. Sometimes you cannot cast your pearl to swine. You can't do it. They don't appreciate the beauty. They don't appreciate the worth of it. And you yourself, I myself, is worthy. And that's how you got to look at it. And this is not a weak conversation. This is a transparent conversation about understanding who you are as a person. Because what happened is, if you don't understand it, you will find yourself constantly going through these cycles over and over again, and you find yourself being disrespected, not being honored, allowing the labels that people want to put over you. You start manifesting those labels because you believe them, and that's not who you really are. That's not who you are. And this is the funny part about it. I just had another thought. Have you ever put on a pair of shoes that you could not fit, but because it was given to you and out of kindness, you decide, well, I'm going to wear them? Some of them are too tight, especially for those of us that grew up in the African American culture, where you had to wear the hand me downs of your relatives because your family couldn't afford new clothes, new shoes, and you had to wear it just because, and you had to wear it and not say anything. Mom, this is too big. Dad, this is too small. Boy, it'll be all right. You'll get used to it. That's how we do. That's how I did. I felt like, well, it is what it is. Let me put it on. And I began to wear labels because people said it. People said it. I used to believe that if the multiplicity of people said the same thing, then there has to be a truth to it. Not always. That's not always the case. There's nuances that take place because it depends on the culture of people that you're hanging out with. If you're a super intelligent individual that's into learning, into expanding your consciousness, expanding your understanding about things, and you're around people who are very small minded, they are good where they are, they don't care about learning, they don't care about expanding their conscience. Every last one of them will say that you're a know it all, you're arrogant, you're narcissistic, um, you're selfish. They begin to put these labels on you because of where their mind is, what their capacities are. And you have to find yourself saying to yourself, am I really this way? Look for the definition of those labels that have been placed on you and say, is this really me? Like, I do understand there's a way that seems right to a man, but at the end it's death. I get all that. I get it because we all want to be right about a lot of things. Let's be honest about it. We all want to be correct about a lot of things. But the truth of it is, we realize if we're not self centered, I may not be right. If I'm not a narcissist, everything can't be about me. Everything is, it can be about somebody else. Look at those labels, look at the culture, the group of people that you're associating yourself with. If you are an eagle that have been raised around chickens, you find yourself mimicking yard bird behavior. And then as soon as you start walking in who you are, those with yard bird behaviors, oh, he think he's all that because he can fly. He thinks that he's better, or she thinks that she's prettier because you realize that you're a swan and not a chicken. And you begin to realize your appetite is different. You begin to, your conscience begin to be enlightened. And that's what happened to me. So I involved myself. I looked at it. I'm going back and forth in this text message. I'm really being honest. I'm going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it was the next day, and I realized, why was I trying to prove myself to a person who don't know me? Because you hear about me and you know my name, you know those who I'm connected to, doesn't mean that you know me. And I'm telling you guys, my followers, I'm telling you, don't allow those who don't really know you try to tell you about who you are and what they feel about you and how they see you, their interpretation of you. Because the truth of the matter is, I know I sound preachy, but that's okay. I'm a preacher. The truth of the matter is this: just because you see a book and you see an image on the book does not mean you know what's inside of that book. I can tell you all day, I can describe the scenery that's on the magazine, and I can give you a title. And just because there's a title on there does not mean that it's given full scope of what the storyline is. And the only way that you can understand the story, you have to open the book and read it. And often, myself and probably a lot of you, we allow people to interpret us based upon an observation, not a relationship. Because when you have a relationship with somebody, you understand the nuances of that person. And I was sitting here thinking, man, yo, this person don't know me. They're responding off of, or they're talking from a position that what they heard, what they interpret, what somebody else said. And so I got mad at myself because I involved myself and I got out of character. Now I didn't get crazy. I want y'all to think I got crazy, but I wanted to. But I had to bring myself back into space. And here I am blaming myself. I'm literally like, dang, you wrong for that, Darnell. Maybe you did. Maybe you said that. Maybe your tone wasn't right. Maybe you didn't, approach it correctly. Maybe, maybe, you know what I'm saying? We all ain't perfect. Sometimes, we all don't approach situations correctly. But I have to check my character because I'm an apologetic individual. And when I apologize, I really try to make sure that I bring the energy of what we call in the church repentance or change. If I apologize to you, I'm really making my business to make sure that I don't repeat certain behaviors. If I thoroughly understand my offense to you, I'm gonna make sure that I apologize. I have to look at it. You have to look at yourself. Know yourself. I don't know how many times I'll repeat that. Know yourself. That way you won't have to wear labels that everybody place on you. Put it on clothes that's too big. Put it on shoes that's too small or even too big. And when you put it on things that is too big or too small, it hinders your movement. I don't care how roomy a shirt is. If you need to run, it hinders that. It hinders that. If the shirt too small, it hinders that. If the shoes are too big, it hinders your run. If shoes too tight, it hinders your run. Wear who you know you are. Wear, and I had to realize that. I was sitting here thinking, yo, this is crazy. This is seriously crazy. How do I allow myself to always beat myself up about other folks' thoughts about me? When I tell you I woke up, it was amazing. And then I got to saying to myself, so what if you think I'm arrogant? So what? So what you think I'm all about myself? I know that I'm not. And those around me know that I'm not. So what? I cannot, you cannot worry about what other people think about you in their head. You cannot do that. That is not your right to be concerned about what people think about your head. You just continue to live and be yourself authentically. And when you are yourself authentically, what happens is you will have a community that will support you. No, that's not John. That's not Sally. That's not Paul. That's not Paula. Man, forget that. You can talk about them all you want to. But the reason why that we find ourselves constantly in a deep sleep because we don't want to face those people that put labels on it. Face them. Face them. And what I mean by face them, you ain't gotta go to them and get in their face and say, I'm not what you say I am. I'm this and that, whatever. Forget what you gotta say about me. You ain't gotta do none of that. But face them in yourself. Hold your head up. I remember I had a situation in my life probably about 10, 15 years ago, and I hit the streets, man. Oh, Darnell, Darnell, Darnell. My name was just ringing in a lot of people's ears. And I so happened to decide to go to the grocery store. You just never know who is watching you. Like, this is crazy. Folk be literally peeping around clothes racks at grocery stores. I mean, not grocery stores, shopping stores, you know, trying to figure out, like, there go so-and-so right there. Yeah, you know what they say. You know what they say. You know what they say. That's what they do. And Some people, I don't know who the person was, the person's was, but it got back to me. Was like, oh man, yo, he's arrogant. He thinks that he's all that. And he walk in the store with his head held up like he's somebody. Regardless of the situation that happened, that took place, I am somebody. Just because you have an issue doesn't mean that I should wear your issue. I woke up. And I'm encouraging you to examine yourself and wake up. That's it. Wake up. Do not allow people to put labels on you. Do not wear those labels. And when saying that, I'm not saying when people come to you honestly because they love you and they want you to be a better person. And they say, hey, you come across this way. You say things like this. Maybe you need to approach a situation. I'm talking to mature individuals. They understand what I'm saying. Because a mature individual will realize I'm not right about everything. And there's always room for growth. There's always room for betterment. That's always. So mature individuals understand that context. When I tell you the situation in my mind was ugly, and you hear things and come from people that you love, and you're like, yo, I can't believe that this person will allow this to escape out of their mouth. And to hear the conversation, like, yo, why would they say that? Why would they do this? But when you know who you are, you understand it, man, whatever. Let them talk. That's where I am. I'm free. I'm telling you. I got free. In the church world, we call it deliverance. 4 o'clock in the morning, or maybe it was 3. I can't remember the time. Sitting there in my recliner, got to thinking about the situation, and I got free. I woke up. I woke up. Put in the comment section for those who are inspired by this conversation. Put in the comment section, I am woke. If you know this has opened your eyes and it's challenging your thinking about how to deal with situations, how to deal with people, how to deal with drama in your life, how to deal with liars in your life, how to deal with the gossip gossip is not just talking about people, it's talking negative and spewing negative things about a person. The gossip that's on your life, all that type of stuff. Like, and be okay with it. Like, I'm good. I'm good. That's it. I'm good. Situation was ugly. I just want to share, part of what's been going on for the past 2 weeks. Did it bother me? Shoot, yeah. Yo, it hurts. It hurts. But I could not stay in my feelings about the situation. I had to move forward. Hey, if you'd like to be a sponsor for the Conversation Podcast, you can do so through Cash App Rare Image 23. Okay, $ Rare Image 23. You can donate to us. We would gratefully be thankful for what you have given, whether it's a penny to $1,000,000. We'll be definitely grateful for your support for this podcast. Listen, I am encouraging you to wake up, stay woke, evolve, expand your consciousness, and understand your worth. Hey, I love you guys. Peace.